Wingman Show. We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots. Rumble. Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name's Commander Drew Brown. My wingman, my main man, the guy who watches my six all the time, my brother, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother Paul? How you doing today?
Pretty good, doing pretty good. I'm up, alive, awake, did a very, very, very good stretching routine. I'm ready to go.
Good, because I'm ready to go too. This is bullshit about these goddamn assault weapons. It's enough, okay? I love guns. I have guns. But we do not need assault weapons anymore. The kids in school have to have some safety. This is ridiculous. And for people to hold on to the Second Amendment bullshit, the Second Amendment was written so you could protect yourself against the government, okay? You cannot protect yourself against an F-15 with an AR-15. It does not work. Dr. Paul, our kids are dying in these schools, and people still want to carry around assault rifles like they're hunting bear or something. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. Dr. Paul, what's your take on it? I just had to say it.
To me, there's a greater problem. There's an obvious problem. You've got a lot of heavy weapons in the hands of people who are full of craziness or hate and craziness. They kind of go together. And you got a lot of folks like being us who have them or have had them and never harmed anyone. But the point is, my thought is that, yeah, you can ban them. Let's say you ban them. Okay, they're gone, and everybody agrees. The crazy factor is still there. What do you do with the folks who are going to do something with a handgun or a car or something? And this, I think, is part of the reason of the show. There's a lot of anger and disappointment and sorrow and fear and resentment, a lot of emotions. They're manifesting itself at the end of an AR-15. That's a convenient tool. I'm not arguing really for or against it. But I think
I'm not saying that. Wait. I'm not saying that's going to end it. No way. Mental health is the answer. But I'm saying we need to start taking some steps. Let's make believe we're doing something. That's all. That's what I agree. I didn't mean that it was going to end it. Mental health is our problem. Yeah,
and there's a lot of it. And if you look at and it can happen at anyone and really at any age, but it's predominantly, young people, young males, very young males. Yeah, maybe, they've got relationship problems, not going outside. We'll get to that later. But there are a lot of things that lead up to this anger. You got to think, what makes someone that's in their teenage years or under 30, how do you get so angry?
I was thinking about that the other day. That means all the terrorists in the world, they always wake up angry, right? They're never happy. It doesn't look like any terrorist would ever be happy. You wake up every day to kill.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Well, this show's not about that. This show, I had to make this statement because of the young people dying. But this show's about, reporting some of the good things. And how about this good sunshine? Remember that by Roy Ayers, Everybody Loves the Sunshine?
Yes.
Well, they're saying now, if you're not sleeping well, maybe you need to have a little bit more sunshine in your life. A report just came out and said that actually more sunshine helps you with sleep at night. And it's your circadian rhythm. And that's something we're going to talk about right now because Dr. Paul and I were both Navy jet pilots who flew at night. And then we took our services to FedEx, greatest company in the world, we think. Anyway, we flew at night a lot in the beginning. We wound up flying 777s all over the world, not flying at night. But in the beginning, we flew at night. That means we flew at night and slept during the day. And our circadian rhythm was actually off. And it's not very healthy to do. Dr. Paul, tell us a little bit about circadian rhythm.
Yeah, that circadian rhythm is basically your sleep-wake cycle, and it goes in a 24-hour period. And most of people, work normal jobs, normal lives, wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night. When you work all night and you're sleeping in the day, you're basically opposite. And the challenges that we faced and other people face today, it could be flying, it could be shift work, working second shift or whatever. You're just gonna be opposite. You're sleeping in the daytime when people are active, and you're up as an owl at night. It can lead to a lot of health problems because you're just really out of kilter. And when you come off of that schedule, You've got to try to get on a regular pattern of your family or whatever you're doing. That can be really, really difficult. Internationally, well, yeah, you say you flew 777s. You're flying around the world. You got the same problem. Some say it's worse. I thought it was better because I got more rest on the road, actually. So if you go to Asia, for example, you got a 12-hour, generally about a 12-hour time difference from the East Coast, and that's a lot. And to really recover, it's said that you need to be into the new time zone about 1 day per hour of difference. So, if you went by that, it would take you 12 days for your body to get acclimated to the new environment. I never had that. I could pretty much get back to normal after about 2 days, 3 days.
Really?
Over a number of years.
Yeah, I never had it at all. I always, whatever time it was, wherever I was, that's what time it was. I always lived like that. I never thought about what time it was where I left. Whatever time it is what time it is.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Wingman Show, everybody. We're sponsored by Magic Mind. We take that little substance. It's got 12 natural ingredients. It makes me more productive. I'll tell you that right now. Less stress, more productivity. If anybody's interested in Magic Mind, just go to magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co. And you can put in our code to get 40% off. Put in Wingman. Just put in the code Wingman. Once again, welcome all our frequent flyers. If you get a chance, why don't you hit us up on our website, wingmanshow.com. Write us a question, write us a note. We'll answer it because we have a frequent flow line for people who want to ask questions. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube and Instagram, and we really appreciate it, don't we, Dr. Paul? And look at those badass jets behind me. I think that's a flock of F-15s right there. What do you got?
Yeah, I've got a single F4. It's a nice picture. I'll move out of the way for a second. Obviously in burner and probably had some effects done on the picture. But I always like to look at that airplane from any angle, so I thought you might appreciate that picture this morning.
Yes, I do. It's very, very nice. I want to make a quote that Nelson Mandela said that, I think is so motivational and true, and I'll read it. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And I'm going to use that to start off this subject. All Boston community colleges are now free. And when I read that, I said, Dr. Paul, can you believe that? Any person who lives in Boston can go to college for free. And remember, once you get in a community college, it's up to you. You get your 4.0s, you go on and get your bachelor's. But everybody in Boston can get a free college education. And I was just tripped out about that until Dr. Paul told me, hey, there's a lot more states and a lot more schools that will give you a free education. You want to tell me about some of them, Doc?
Yeah, I found out, we're here in the state of Georgia, and under the state laws here, anyone age 62 or over can go tuition free to any state-sponsored public institution. That includes Georgia Tech, Georgia this, Georgia that. It's great. Doesn't include private universities, but I know a couple friends who are actually doing that. Everything's not free. Maybe you have to pay for books or little fees here and there. Sometimes they waive the fees too, if you're over 62. So you may have to, shell out something for a textbook. But free tuition is, it's like kind of getting a free house. So if you have the ability to do something, particularly older people, do something with your mind. Don't just sit around watching TV and just sprawling on a lounger all day. You need to get up and move, but you also need to get up and think, or sit down and think. Get the body moving, get the brain moving, both together or separately. Keep it moving. And now you can do these things. And a lot of them also applies to courses online. So you don't have to physically be everywhere, which is also a benefit. So take advantage of that. It's in a number of states. I just say Georgia, but offhand, I saw a list of like 25 institutions around the country. And some of them are big time places that offer free tuition.
You know that phone we carry? That's very powerful. There's a lot of information in that. If you look in that phone and go under your Google little machine, you look in Google, there's a lot of free education out there. There are ways to better yourself out here, Dr. Paul. There's a lot of states that offer free education. And you know what? If you do good in school, you get scholarships, you get money. Whatever you work for, you can get. There is a way out. I'm telling you, there's a way out. Dr. Paul?
Yeah, just get started. Take a look. If you're watching the Wingman Show, and again, we appreciate our listeners and those who see us on YouTube. Please give us a like if you can. Subscribe, share this with other people. It helps out the algorithm. It gets more people to tune us in and get the message.
Well, I got good news for you, Dr. Paul. Lolita was imprisoned falsely for 57 years, Miss Lolita. And because our show last week talked about an orca whale that was able to baby or be the mother of a baby pilot whale, which is very unusual. Well, guess what? They must have listened to our show and they just let Lolita out, 57-year-old orca whale from Miami. I believe it's, what was it, SeaWorld they let her free from?
I think so, yes. SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
SeaWorld,
They're now letting her out into the free ocean. They first have to get her acclimated to the ocean, and then she's going to be free. And that's because of the Wingman Show. But if you want to notice something about orcas, which I love, when an orca is in a captivity, their dorsal fin is always curved. And I'll show some pictures for the YouTube watchers out there. But as soon as they're free, that dorsal fin straightens up and they're on their way. What do you think about Lolita, Dr. Paul? Don't you like that?
Good. Yeah, that's good. I hear those whales can live to like the age of 80. So, that's the average. She's got some years to go, which is good.
I'm very happy for free people. Well, remember this? Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
I do remember that. I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, man. I'm going to tell you, when my son was younger, we used to love to watch WWF wrestling. Yeah. We just loved wrestling. As I got older and as he went to college and my kids went to med school and law school, I kind of got away from it, but we loved wrestling. Well, guess what? So did a lot of other people. And I remember even when the WWF changed its name to the WWE because of the worldwide, I think it was the World Wildlife Foundation. Yeah. They beat them in court. So anyway, they had to go WWE.
Yeah.
WrestleMania, believe it or not, last year made $1.2 billion, just that one show. And now they want to combine companies, the WWE and the UFC want to combine together, and they'll be worth over $22 billion. I think they're going to go under the stock exchange, TKO. So this is a good time to, if you believe in UFC and you believe in WWE, this might be a time when they do come out publicly to buy some stock in that. But I love me some wrestling. And did you know this? This is incredible. Out of the top 15 most famous female athletes in the world, 5 of them are WWE wrestlers. Would you believe that?
Yeah, I do, because there's kind of like a cross-pollination between the UFC and the WWE anyway. Sometimes like the guy Brock Lesnar came from the WWE, fought in the UFC, beat a bunch of people, and of course, he was dethroned after a while too. It's a rough game, but there's a parallel. Some of show business, some of it's show business. I think it's all rough, no matter what it is. You can get very badly hurt doing all that stuff. Just the coordination. Those guys spend a lot of time on the road too. I've been in a couple gyms with some wrestlers, names I won't mention, and they all being like about 5 of them. They weren't lifting weights much. They were working on their backs. They were working on their back. And one guy was telling me he was on the road 300 days a year, or 3 something. It was more than I was doing. And, he's trying to raise kids and do different things. And his back is killing him, but he's got his show in Memphis and he's getting ready for the show. They were always like normal people, just trying to, make it to the next day.
Well, you remember Jerry Lawler?
Yes, I do. Oh, yeah.
Well, I knew Jerry Lawler, and I actually did the Jerry Lawler show in Memphis. And that means I went down to Channel 5, and they did a wrestling show there, believe it or not. And all the wrestlers were in the back, and they were best of friends.
Yes.
But I'll give you a little secret about wrestling. Good wrestlers, the way they tell if you're a good wrestler or not is not the way you hit, but it's the way you take a hit.
Right.
If you can take and fake a good hit, that makes you a good wrestler. Not to punch, but to be punched. And that was just a little secret that they told me. But I'll tell you right now, first of all, my main man of all time was the Macho Man.
Yeah.
Boy, I love Macho Man. I didn't know if I sounded like Flavor Flav just then, but I love the Macho Man. He was my
There's some good personalities in the 80s, and one of them went on to be governor of a state.
Yeah, and one of them, The Rock, is probably the most famous actor in the world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I wonder if he can cook. Guess nobody's cooking. He had the people's elbow. Everybody's got a little trademark. Some of those guys have passed away now. There's a few of them that live not too far from you, actually. Settled in.
Oh, I know. And you know who I love, though? And I'm just going to end this because of my age. I don't want to fall on the ground no more, but I don't know how Ric Flair kept hitting that ground at his age. That was amazing. He's one of the most amazing wrestlers I've ever seen. And you know what that brings me to? That brings me to a Wingman PSA. From the 11 facts in life, under number 6, from the 8 deadly sins, greed, the curse of insatiability, the greatest drug known to man is power. Be very careful of it. Greed, the curse of insatiability. Could you imagine not ever getting enough? This has been a Wingman PSA. That to me would be the worst thing in the world, to never be satisfied, Dr. Paul.
Right. Yeah. That's well, you're always wanting. You're always wanting, and that's likely to lead to overconsumption of something.
100%. That's like always being hungry. You could eat and eat and eat, but always being hungry. Well, that's something in your soul. You're never satisfied. Right. Well, I want to make another little announcement for anybody who's interested in traveling all over the world. And Mark Twain said, if you don't travel, you haven't turned the first page in the book of life. Passports now are taking up to 6 months. If you don't have a passport and you're looking to go on a cruise this summer, you need to start doing that now. Passports are taking up to 6 months. The government's really slowing down about that, Dr. Paul. Help us.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, and I looked at mine, and mine expires in a few months. I had lost track of it. So I'm going to start doing something next week. Yeah, everybody go get your passport. Go see the world. See something. Go somewhere. Maybe you can't see as much of it as we did when we were paid to do it, but go out. Go somewhere. Go to Canada. You can't go too far. Go to Mexico. Go to the Bahamas. Go offshore. Go somewhere. The process of getting a passport is not that big a deal. You'll have to get a special passport photo, which you can get done typically any office supply shop, a UPS store, the FedEx office. Everybody does passport photos.
Did you say UPS?
Yeah, they'll do it.
Oh no, FedEx only.
FedEx only. Okay, only go to the FedEx place.
I know where my check comes from.
Yeah. Go somewhere, someplace just do passport photos. It'll run you, I don't know, $5. They give you 2 pictures. You fill out an application. You got to put some money to it. If you've never done it before, you can actually go get everything
at the post office.
At the post office, yeah, at the post office.
And you can also do it all online.
You do it online, yeah. And if you want to renew your passport, if you already have one, to renew it, like I need to, you can do all that, but you have to do that all by mail, pretty much.
I just thought of this. If you're stuck in life and you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's happening in your life, travel. There's a big world out there. You'd be amazed at what's out there. You'd be amazed at what's out there. And that's why it bothers me when somebody dates somebody or breaks up with somebody. You're the only girl for me. No, there's a million fish in those seas. You just have to go out in the ocean to find them.
Right. Yeah. The world's got like what 8 billion people or 8 billion people. Yeah, there's more than one.
Well, I went to school at Southern University in New Orleans, my lovely HBCU. I love Southern University in New Orleans. But Southern University was in New Orleans East. You're going to tell us about something that's really amazing. There were 2 young ladies from New Orleans East who just solved a math problem that could not be solved for 2,000 years. Two young Black girls solved a math problem that could not be solved in 2,000 years by the greatest mathematicians. You want to tell us about this little story there, Doc?
Yeah, something called the Pythagorean theorem, which most of us learned in algebra or trigonometry, which goes about finding the lengths of the sides of a triangle. That's what it amounts to. Well, this the old formula was c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Take the square root of that, and you get the hypotenuse, or you get the other whatever missing side you're looking for. Well, that's using what they call circular logic, which is kind of a logical inconsistency where you have the premise and the conclusion are assumed to be right without examining them. Well, they did it a little different way. I think they used something called the law of sines, and you take the length of a side of a triangle and you divide it by the opposite angle of that side. And if you do that for all three sides, you actually get about the same number. It just works out that way. It's really, really weird. It's off by one. I think two will be the same, and one may be different by like 5% or so. And they approached the problem that way. Instead of just using the Pythagorean theorem, they used the law of sines.
Well, everybody now knows why you're a doctor, and I'm just a regular old Navy jet pilot. We're just two dope boys in some Navy jets. Yeah. That was incredible, Doc. Thank you very much. I was never really that good in math, but that's also because I didn't put that much time into math.
And I don't worry about it too much. As my mother would say, that and 25 cents would get you a phone call when we had pay phones.
That's right. Well, our website is www.wingmenshow.com. And on our website, wingmenshow.com, you can write us and ask us a question. And believe it or not, I got one from the merry old town of England in London, a guy named Mike. He's 23 years old. He's in love with his girlfriend and he wants to get married, but he says he can't because he doesn't have enough money. I'm going to throw this one to you first, Dr. Paul, because I have very strong opinions about this. But Mike from merry old England in London doesn't want to get married because he doesn't have enough money, but he loves his girl. What should he do, Dr. Paul?
Well, when you say his girl, I'm thinking like, does she have any money? It kind of takes two to tango. I don't know. Maybe I assume maybe it's the combined. Maybe she has a lot. He doesn't have enough. I'll give him some credit. But he's smart to be thinking about it, because you need bucks. You need money to do a lot of things. I would say, if you need to wait. You don't want to just put yourself in a bad position. If you're 23 years old, you're not a senior citizen. If it's a matter of getting more education and training, like we've talked about, maybe you need to do that first, and that might allow you to get a position or do something that'll bring in more of this money. Maybe if you commit in a year or two to study, or maybe less, pick up a trade that's workable. Obviously, he's not doing what he needs to do to raise a family. So maybe that goes into the training. Let's maybe put off the wedding for a minute and let's get into a good training program or a business you want to start. And then let's revisit it maybe 12 months later, 18 months later, 24 months later. You'll be 25 years old.
Wow, that's a good advice, but I have a different approach totally, Dr. Paul.
Tell me.
I think when you're in love, you get married right away and you start a team. They say two heads are better than one, and it's kind of cool when you and your mate can rise from poverty into the worlds of wealth and doing it together. I think a team effort is the way to go, and I don't think marriage has anything to do with money. I think it has to do with love. And if you really found somebody that is your soulmate and that you can live with and be responsible with for the rest of your life, myself, I did it. I got married at a very young age, and we worked together to be what we were. We were a team, and now I'm married again, and we are now another team. But I believe teamwork is the way to do this, and I don't think money should stop marriage. get a Band-Aid, put it around your finger, and start, like Paul said, maybe both get into a training thing, but you
Right.
have to have purpose. You have to have purpose, both of you. If you have purpose, you cannot be stopped. And all you got to do is add this one little thing to purpose: hard work.
Right. Yeah. Either way, they can function as a team.
Yes, you know, a lot of people are not getting married anymore, Dr. Paul.
True.
That's the new way of the future, I'm sorry to say. I was married when I was 21.
Wow. I was just trying to take care of myself at 21.
Well, I loved having kids when I was young because I got to play ball with them. I got to coach them. I was still physically active. I wasn't like that. How old was Tortoise? 90 years old, who had
That's
triplets?
right. That's right. Mr. Pickles. So Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickle's not going to be playing basketball with his 13-year-old triplets.
Yeah. Yeah. Tortoises don't play that well anyway.
How about this? How about dentists? Did you know that there's a shortage of dentists? So here's a good one for all you college graduates. If you're looking for something that you want to be, try dentistry. They make a lot of money. But here's something that's really interesting. You know, we always talk about health. We always talk about health. Did you know that if you don't brush your teeth and you get gingivitis, it can lead to rheumatoid arthritis? They took some cells from rheumatoid arthritis and found it had plaque in it. In other words, from your teeth. If you don't take care of your teeth, it can actually hurt you later in life through arthritis. Would you believe something like that?
Yeah, rheumatoid arthritis. I've never heard that, but I heard it could lead to heart problems. That's what I was told. Because I actually had gum surgery, and I thought it was they said we're looking at these pockets, and we need to look at this further. I thought they were trying to just get money from me. I thought it was fake. So he gave me a sheet about the possible complications of having gum problems.
Periodontal disease.
Yeah, periodontal disease. And I ended up getting treatment for it, which is, it was me. I couldn't eat any solid food for about 8 days or so. And apparently it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And they were talking about heart disease at that point. But a lot of things can come in through bad dental care.
Well, I take care of my teeth, and I get my teeth cleaned 4 times a year.
Mm-hmm. I would too. It's hard that with the COVID, a lot of people left dentistry. In fact, I was at a social function, met a retired dentist about the same age, and I told him I can't get an appointment within less than like 4 months.
He
said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Yeah, there's a shortage." He said, "There's a major shortage. A lot of folks got out of it, and people aren't coming in. And COVID kind of put the kibosh on it. He closed his office like a year prior."
No kidding. Well, my dentist is Dr. Leo Wheat, who's my main man. What a great practice he has, Wheat Family Dentistry. And they do my teeth. Leo takes care of me. He actually goes to Africa and Haiti, and he helps young people. He's a great guy. But man, it's hard to get an appointment. And if I didn't know Leo, I don't know if I could get an appointment. It's like I have to go back door to get some appointments. But dentistry is very important. You know what else is important? Our wingmen. Our wingman this week, Dr. Paul. Wow, what a story. And this is really about wingmen. Tell me about this wingman, Doc.
Yeah, this story is this is a true wingman. This is one is in the air and one is on the ground. Involves airplanes. There was a guy named Chris Yates. He was a veteran pilot, and he was flying out of a place called Oakland County International Airport. It's not too far from Flint, Michigan. It's between Flint and Detroit. But Oakland County International Airport, I guess he was sitting in a plane, or maybe he just landed, but he was looking up and he saw another plane just taking off. And he noticed that the nose wheel of the airplane taking off just hit the ground.
Fell off.
Yeah, it just fell off. So the airplane's going. So he calls the tower and he tells the tower what he saw. And the controllers said, well, we didn't see anything, and they didn't really know what to do. And he asked, can you put me in touch with the pilot of the plane? So they hooked them up. They put them on a common frequency. I guess they knew what frequency the plane was on. And the other plane was flown by a young lady named Taylor Hash. And this was just her third solo flight.
Wow, 21
Her
years
third
old.
solo flight. Yeah, she's 21 years old. Just her third solo flight. So she'd been flying for a while. She soloed, which is a tremendous point in the pilot's life. She soloed, and this is her third time up by herself. And the nose wheel falls off. So he gets on the frequency. He's speaking to her and starts to talk to her about what's happening. And I don't say she's freaking out, but she's, clearly upset, having basically now she's confronted with an airplane emergency. At that point, you're just learning you're doing touch and goes. You want to take off, you want to land, you don't want any complication. So anyway, long story short, he talked her into a landing. He said, he had a daughter with the same name, and that she could just take it easy, take it easy. And the big thing was after you touch down, hold the stick back as long as you can to let the nose come down as slowly as you can, because you're going to hit in the front. And
I had a controlled crash.
I had in a jet one time. It's something similar kind of happened, potentially happened, and it didn't. It was just a bad indicator, but you never know. But in any case, the wheel was off the airplane, and the airplane will fly just fine. The question is, after you touch down and it gets slow, you don't want to slam the nose into the ground. So she did it. He talked her into it. He said, bring the stick back, more. She held it up, and the nose came gently into the ground, and the airplane pitched forward, just, pitch forward a little bit, because it's, there's a missing wheel. And she got out of the airplane, no damage, maybe a little damage on the concrete that could be patched up real easy. And a little bit on the
hit the ground though.
Yeah, it hit the ground as it's supposed
to. It was a little violent.
Yeah, it was a little bit violent, some work, but nothing major.
Great job.
But she did a good job. And again, he was a wingman. He was talking to her I think he was on the ground. He was just telling her what she needed to do. And she did it well. And she's continuing to fly. I hope she has a good experience and maybe a good career if she wants to go that way. So a lot of times pilots look out for other pilots. And if you do have a problem, sometimes a reassuring voice on the other end can really help. It could be help with aircraft emergencies. I've had them. It may be with an LSO if you're trying to land on an aircraft carrier, day or night, and it's just a bad day or night. They act as psychologists trying to calm you down. You're okay. The ship just moved from under you. It's rough seas. You didn't do anything wrong. Let's try it again.
No doubt, a calm voice on the other end of a radio when you're in trouble in an airplane really, really can help a lot. And I've been there too, when it's really dark at night and you're talking to the LSO and you were talking about night flying. I have 183 night traps. The first one was the scariest thing I ever did, and so was the last. So That's about night flying. Well, Dr. Paul, I'll tell you something, whatever is meaningful, whatever is beautiful, and whatever makes you and our listeners happy, may you have it today and forever. And Dr. Paul, I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too. And again, we appreciate all our listeners, our viewers, for liking, sharing, and passing on our message.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.